times, the teenagers, less than voting age, will bring their parents to my office in Washington, bring their parents in. And I said, who got most excited? Who got excited earliest? And many times it's the 14 and the 15-year-old that brings their parents in and introduces them to our ideas. And I said, well, how did you hear about it? I didn't know that you were reading the New York Times and watching the news. Oh, there's something called YouTube out there. That helped us tell us what's going on. But the young people responded well, but also those who were sitting and waiting and thinking about it, maybe young in spirit but older in age, those individuals I consider in the remnant, the true believers that have been around and trying to bring us back around, they were there, the numbers were larger. It is said that we don't know the number of the remnant. We don't know where the remnant is. But if a time comes, you will be surprised how big it is. And I have been surprised, and I have been very pleased. Probably one of the most exciting things that happened during the campaign was the response that we got from a certain segment of society. In Washington, D.C., we frequently have resolutions being passed that rubber stamp the foreign policy of intervention. But they always get passed, usually nearly unanimously. Maybe there's a few, and sometimes there's only one opposing the resolution. But these resolutions will be designed to support the policies in Iraq and our so-called threat against Iran. And it is said that if you don't support it, you don't support the troops. Well, you know, the most exciting thing was, I think it was in our first quarter this year, when they added up the number of dollars that came from the troops. Our campaign got more money from the troops than all the other candidates put together. You know, it was interesting to see how the establishment responded. You saw it on TV, you saw it in the debates, and so often it was a treatment of exclusion or marginalization or just making fun of what we're doing. And I think that didn't surprise me one bit. But you know, one thing that when things like that happen, we need to turn them around, and there wasn't much effort needed to do that. Because the more they did that, it seemed the more it energized you in support for our cause. We have also noticed that those in the establishment aren't very anxious to welcome us in. Even though our numbers are growing, we respond and appeal to young people. You would think that they would welcome us. And yet, on occasion, a few of you may have been exposed that sometimes the rules get bent. Sometimes the rules are even ignored. But you know, in another sense, government power really wants to protect itself. So they will use power and force. Not only in politics will they bend the rules, but really in society as well. They will break the rules and break the laws, and they're even known to illegally invade premises to find out what people are talking about in case they're talking about politics. That is not very good. You know, the one thing that I have said is that the revolution is a lot more than about me. There is no doubt about it. This revolution will continue. But I would like to think that the campaign and our efforts together have done a whole lot to speed up the revolution that was destined to come anyway. So often people ask me, how did we lose the Republic? Have we lost it? Essentially we have. It may be hanging by a thread. That's why I claim that we have a sense of urgency here. We don't have decades and decades. We have to do something rather quickly. But today we have to move rather quickly. But how did we lose it? And I think of some of the things that happened in Washington to symbolize this loss of the Republic. And one thing that I've made comments many years ago that I noticed on the House floor, and this has to change, that the two weakest arguments on the House floor would be a moral argument and a constitutional argument. That we need to change. Another attitude that we must change, and you've heard this said many times, that if the government gives us a tax cut, they have to be cautious because that is written off as a cost to government. How could that be? That is the assumption that the government owns us and owns the fruits of our labor, and what we get to keep is done at the permission of the government, which proves the point that even a 1% income tax is morally wrong because it sows the seeds of destruction. You know, the survival of the Republic was discussed at the time of the foundings, and the Founding Fathers came to the conclusion that we would and could have a republic, but the republic depended on a moral people. So we complain a lot about the government and all that is going on, and we blame this person or other person, but in a way, it is a reflection of the morality of the people. So in doing this, we have to understand the morality of the law and the morality of what we do. So if we are not a moral people, a perfect constitution cannot save us. We don't have a perfect constitution, but we have a real good one. But the fact that if we have people who ignore it, it won't serve our purpose. So you have to have a moral people and a system of government and moral politicians who represent us. Another thing that has happened is that we lost track of the fact that the Constitution was written to restrain the government. Now it's turned on its head. The Constitution or the government is there, they use it to restrain us. That is upside down. And over the years, the government gets more and more powerful. It's not only the executive branch, it's the judicial branch, it's the legislative branch, it's the bureaucratic branch of government. And more power gravitates away from the individual, away from the states, into the hands of the bureaucrats and the politicians in Washington. Not only that, do we have to worry about all this power gravitating to the power to be in Washington, it's even going further. We have to worry about powers gravitating to international governments, to the New World Order. That, of course, would have to be reversed as well. But another thing that happened over these many years that have allowed us to slip away from the Republic and the principles of liberty is we came as a nation to believe that a person needs are essentially rights. If you need something or want something or demand something, that does not give you a right to it. Rights are something that are very precious. They don't come from the government. They come in a natural way or a God-given way. They come as a right to your life and a right to your liberty.